At just 17 years old, Luke Littler is a world champion.
The button has been passed!
He took home his first world title and a £500,000 cash prize after dominating former three-time champion and one of the greatest players ever in Dutchman Michael van Gerwen. Littler has had perhaps the best first year in professional darts history, bursting onto the scene as a 16-year-old at the 2024 PDC World Championship and storming his way to the final on debut. Only the most informed player in the world at the time, Luke Humphries, could deny Littler the title at his first attempt. Littler would immediately follow up his World Championship run with a World Series title at the Bahrain Darts Masters, beating Van Gerwen. It was a non-ranking event, but it underscored Littler's talent, and he hit a perfect 9-dart finish against Nathan Aspinall, becoming the youngest player to do so just 2 days before his 17th birthday.
Oh, it's on! It's on! And the first leg of the match! Brilliant!
Littler's inclusion in the 2024 Premier League raised eyebrows in some corners. Yes, the Premier League is a non-ranking, invitational, glorified exhibition tournament, but the best players in the world play this tournament week in and week out, and thrusting Littler into this tournament after his World Championship run was questioned by some as putting too much pressure on just a 17-year-old. But not only did Littler compete, he thrived. Littler topped the table after 16 events around the UK, and won each in Berlin and Rotterdam, matching Luke Humphries and Van Gerwen with 4 nightly wins out of 16, and would go one better than the World Championship, beating Humphries in the final to lift the title, hitting another 9-darter along the way. During his Premier League campaign, Littler had also wrapped up a Players' Championship title and 2 Euro Tour titles, and he continued adding to his tally in June, with another World Series win in Poland, defeating Rob Cross, another former world champion swept aside by Littler. The World Cup Pairs event ended the month of June, and Littler wasn't chosen to play for England, with 2023 world champion Michael Smith pairing up with 2024 champion Humphries to win the title. The World Match Play was next up in July, but Littler fell in the first round to Van Gerwen as Humphries claimed the title. But he ended the month with another Players' Championship win, keeping his upward momentum. Not only was Littler finding success in darts, but darts was finding success in Littler. His World Championship run captivated fans around the world and brought more eyes to the sport. Ahead of Christmas 2024, with the World Championship in full swing, it was estimated that around 100,000 children in the UK would be opening Littler-branded magnetic dartboards for Christmas. Littler's success and rise to fame was inspiring people to take up the sport like few others. As someone who owns a Phil Taylor-branded board that my dad bought me as a kid, I completely understand the craze around Luke. I didn't keep my interest in darts as I grew up, but I was swept back up in it when my fellow Welshman, Gerwyn Price, won the world title in 2021. But how many kids who had a Phil Taylor board are now professional players? How many kids who opened those Littler boards at Christmas will grow up to win PDC titles and top the world rankings? Back on the Oche, and September was approaching, with major tournaments lined up throughout the autumn and winter. First up was the World Series Finals, another non-ranking event. Littler conquered 3 former world champions on his way to winning the tournament, beating Raymond van Barneveld in the last 16, Van Gerwen again in the semi-finals, and Smith in the final to take home another major but non-ranked title. Let's explain the non-ranked tournaments for anyone new to darts. The PDC Order of Merit, or the World Rankings, are based on prize money earned over a 2-year period. The more money earned, the higher your ranking. But there are some events that don't count towards the Order of Merit, as they're closed invitational events, as opposed to open events that any player could theoretically qualify for. The Premier League and the World Series Finals are 2 non-ranking events, so while Littler took home those titles and pocketed the prize money, the money didn't count towards his world ranking position. The ranking events were soon to follow, but Littler was knocked out of both the World Grand Prix and the European Championship in the first round, by Cross and 2023 UK Open champion Andrew Gilding respectively. But November's doubleheader of majors was more kind to Littler. Littler topped his 4-player group in the Grand Slam before edging out Grand Prix champion Mike de Decker in the last 16. After sweeping Jermaine Wattimena aside in the quarters, Littler duelled 2-time world champion Gary Anderson in the semi-final, winning a deciding leg to claim a 16-15 victory. De Decker and Anderson proved tougher competition than Littler's final opponent Martin Lukman, as Littler cruised to his 16 legs to 3 victory to finally lay his hands on a major ranking title. But Doubter said that Littler had an easy road to the title, with Humphries, Smith and Van Gerwen eliminated in the group stage, the likes of Cross, 8-seed Danny Noppert and James Wade eliminated in the knockouts, and players like Van Barneveld, Gerwyn Price, Johnny Clayton and Nathan Aspinall not even qualifying for the event. But Littler would soon prove the doubters wrong. Littler reached the Players' Championship finals, losing out again to Luke Humphries, but beat the likes of Cross, Noppert and De Decker along the way, averaging over 100 in the final in an 11-7 defeat to the world champion. At the end of the tournament, Littler was ranked 4th in the world, meaning the 4th seed at the World Championship. Entering with the seeded players at round 2, he opened with a 3-1 win over Ryan Meikle before beating Ian White 4-1 in round 3. He edged out Ryan Joyce 4-3 in the last 16 and defeated Aspinall 5-2 in the quarterfinals. Finding himself up against 8th-seed Stephen Bunting, the 2024 Masters champion and a player in some decent form, Littler produced one of his finest displays, defying Bunting's 100 average by averaging 105 as he sealed back-to-back final appearances with a 6-1 thrashing. As the final approached, plenty of pundits predicted that Van Gerwen's experience would pull through, that MVG would claim his 4th title and Littler's wait would go on for at least another year. But watching Littler out there, you can see that nothing phases him. He's always so calm on the oche, whereas you'll see other players flinch at missing a double, make a face when their darts go awry. I mean, Gerwyn Price had to put on ear defenders to block out the boos of the Ali Pali crowd. But Littler just collects his arrows from the board and gets ready for the next visit. Van Gerwen seemed a bit off from the start, the pressure seeming to get to the 35-year-old veteran with 3 world titles more than the teenager in just his 2nd world tournament. Littler was calm, composed and clinical. Van Gerwen played quite well despite some trouble on the outer ring, hitting just 14 of his 38 darts at double, but Luke Littler finished 56% of his doubles with a 103 average to triumph 7-3 and lift the Sid Waddell Trophy for the first of, I'm sure, many times. Maybe the pressure of defending his ranking money could get to him as he goes on, but Luke Littler has shown time and again in his first professional year that nothing seems to deter him. Whether it's the media frenzy following his 2024 World Championship performance, being thrust into the Premier League, TV appearances having to adjust to the World Series and European Tour schedule while also playing floor titles and majors back home, or the pundits writing him off right up until the moment he lifted the world title, Littler seemingly has endured it all and come out stronger. We may very well be seeing the next Phil Taylor-like player, the player who will dominate the sport for years to come. And it's okay if that isn't who Littler becomes. That's what everyone thought Michael van Gerwen would become when he won his first title at 24, and while he's racked up 47 major PDC titles, his world title count remains at 3. It has always seemed impossible that anyone would win the 14 World Championship titles in the PDC that Phil Taylor has won. I mean, he's won 16 overall if you count his 2 BDO titles before the split. And maybe Littler won't win 14 or 16 or even 10, but with his first world title under his belt at just 17, maybe he could. I've been wanting to get into doing videos of some sort for a little while, and I've never really found where that should be. I mean, the internet doesn't need more opinions on the Arctic Monkeys or The Last Jedi, but I don't really see a lot of good darts content on YouTube. I clicked on a video the other day that was like the whole history of darts or something, and in the first minute it was clear that it was just AI driven slop. But yeah, I thought I'd throw my hat in the ring and see what comes out. I've got a little bit of a background in doing sports reporting as a job, so I thought I'd give it a go. I'm going to try and cover at least all the majors, and maybe I'll do some other bits here and there, but yeah, I'll see how this one goes, and hopefully the Luke Littler mania will bring some clicks into this, and yeah, we'll see where it goes from there.